Today's Doubting Thomas gospel story lends itself to sharing some far-fetched and perhaps unbelievable colloquial-like stories. And this is where you, as in Buffalonians, not St. Greg, but just as in Buffalonians, have been the subject of a few of my homilies I've preached over the years. Now, for context, my previous community in Cincinnati is primarily a Midwestern, very conservative German community. So sharing stories about the crazy Bills Mafia, buttered lambs, and snow, mountains of snow, were always on the, well, doubtful side. In fact, last year I shared a story about Buffalo's annual post-Lenten bash to celebrate resurrection, awakening, and new beginnings. Yes, Dignus Day and all its wacky traditions. You know the traditions better than me, from the masses said in Polish to the polkas around town and the parades. While Cincinnatians get all of that, this is where it gets doubtful and even a bit unbelievable. Parades with people dressed up as pierogies, kielbasas, and on the occasion, the Elvis impersonator dressed in the Polish red and white national colors, wearing a Bills jersey pullover and a chicken wing as a headwear. I'm still waiting to see that myself. And then there's the ancient courting ritual, throwing water and pussy willows, which has evolved over the years. Well, again, you know better than me, into that playful, flirting practice of squirting super soaker water guns and whacking one another with pussy willows. Now, just as Dignus Day is integral and unique to Buffalo's culture, so too there are things about Cincy that Buffalonians would find just as doubtful. For example, take what Cincinnatians consider as chili. Now, there are dozens of chili parlors, not restaurants, never a restaurant, dedicated solely to serving chili. Guy Ferrari of the Food Network show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives has made a few appearances at several of these parlors. Now, bear with me, this is where it gets really wacky. Chili, Cincy style, begins with a plate of plain spaghetti noodles topped with a light meat sauce flavored with cinnamon and chocolate. From there, you need to know the urban lingo and how to order. If not, in a New York minute, you will be labeled an outsider. Spaghetti with sauce is called plain chili or just two-way. A three-way is that topped with a molehill-like mound of shredded cheese. A four-way is topped with cheese and onions. A five-way is cheese, onions, and red beans. A six-way is all that topped with fried jalapeno caps. I only ate it once. And get this, just as carrots and celery are condiments to our buffalo wings, Cincy chili is complemented with oyster crackers and hot sauce. Ah, to see is to believe. Now, if there's any seed of doubt that Cincinnatians think of spaghetti and meat sauce topped with all those items as conventional chili, then welcome to Thomas's dilemma. Thomas belonged to a very close-knit community of apostles. He was one of the 12 who was intimately acquainted with Jesus. As a disciple of Jesus for 3 years, he paraded around the various towns, hung out in parlors, ate the same foods, and even knew the lingo. I am the light. I am the life, the resurrection. Destroy this temple in 3 days, and I will rebuild it. Thomas even witnessed Jesus bring back Lazarus from the dead. So what happened to Thomas? Perhaps all along he was a reluctant believer, a chronic doubter, Or he really struggled in his faith? Well, we really don't know because the readings don't give us any more insight. While this gospel story reads as if Thomas gets a bad rap for doubting and being fearful, he's not alone. At the Easter Vigil last week, we heard in Matthew's story about how the guards were shaken in fear when the angels of the Lord descended from heaven and rolled back the stone. And Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were fearful, yet overjoyed when the angel said, "He is not here, for he has been raised." Then get this. On their way back to his disciples, Jesus met and greeted them. Angels from heaven and a dead man raised. Stories of fear, doubt, and disbelief. Inasmuch as today's story is about fear, doubt, and disbelief, it is also about the power to drive out those uncertainties. When Thomas presented his fears to the risen Lord in front of the others, the very first thing that Christ did was draw close to him. There was no rebuke or shame. In fact, Thomas's own doubt afforded him the opportunity to get much closer to Jesus than perhaps any other human in history when he was invited to touch the crucified and the risen Christ's wounds. And in that encounter, in that sacred space, that holy moment, God's presence, grace, divine mercy, and forgiveness were at work. Today, Thomas becomes a surrogate for each of us in unprecedented times of atrocities, pandemics, and yet another mass shooting on Dignus Day in Louisville in the downtown bank. And then on this morning's news, I saw, at least on one news channel, there was another shooting in Alabama last night. And then you add in our own personal parlors of fears that enslave us, the loss of a loved one, separation, divorce, an unexpected life-threatening diagnosis. Jesus graciously meets us in those most trying times of fear, doubt, and disbelief. He understands our daily battles in ordinary life when we say things like, "I just can't believe this is happening yet again." Just as the crucified Christ, the risen Christ drew close to Thomas in that upper room, he too draws close to us in this upper room, this parlor. And we become close to him through the parade of people that we call community that walk through these church doors, through our embrace and comfort of one another, through prayer, through his word, and indeed, the Paschal Feast. Today, I believe the church has the answer for all our fears, doubts, and disbelief if we only dare to proclaim it. In the darkness of our own crosses, Christian hope, as it did 2,000 years ago, shines brightest. The Easter event we just lived binds us Christians as a close-knit community. It gives us meaning when we profess and share our belief. Like Dignus Day, it gives us hope, awakening, and new beginnings. Indeed, hope and belief. For the Paschal Feast did follow the fast. The crown followed the cross. Easter Sunday followed Good Friday. And if we dare to believe, then when we walk our own route to Calvary, go through our own Good Fridays, we know we do not walk it alone when we proclaim those same words of Thomas, "My Lord and my God."